Aha.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. Today we have a special guest with us. We've got Andy Savard, who is going to be talking about plogging. So you wonder what plogging is? Well, you got to find out. You got to listen in to find out what plogging is. So Andy is, he's been with the hospitality industry for 35 years and worked in various positions from a cook, bartender, manager, and then catering supervisor. He is also a lifelong marathon runner that led him to cross Canada on foot 3 times. As an ambassador for 3Rs, reduce, reuse, and recycle, he saw that impact society is making on the environment, and he took it on himself to run across Canada unsupported and gathered plastic bottles and other containers along his route. Seeing so much food waste and how little restaurants were recycling, it bothered him. From day one, the litter on the side of the Trans-Canada Highway really bothered him. So he started to clean up. He found his happy place. He was never one for publicity or having a sponsorship to help him along the way. This is a passion he has taken on himself, and since then, he has inspired thousands along his journey. People meet him along his route, hold bottle drives to do their part, or to keep our country as one of the most beautiful places around the world. So join us today as we interview Ari. Sorry, did I just say Ari? Yeah, I did.
Andy.
Andy. Sorry about that, Andy. I'm Fatima.
I'm Fred.
John.
I'm Cyrene.
Excellent. We'll bring Andy on board now. We've got you sideways.
There we are.
There we go.
There we go. Now we can see you. Excellent. Thank you so much, Andy, for being here. And it is very commendable as to what you're doing. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, good morning and thanks for having me. Yeah, like you said, I've been since 2013, been kind of like a passion, a hobby of mine is to run back and forth across various parts of Canada, cleaning up as I go, meeting new people and seeing new amazing things. So it's been great. And then I balance it out by working and saving my money in the fall and the winter, and try and get out as much as I can in the spring and summer to clean up along the roads.
Mm-hmm. So I got a question. Plogging, is that something that is actually, like everyone's wondering what is plogging, but is that something you created, or is that something that is actually a term that's out there?
Well, actually, yeah, it's a term that's out there now. I mean, and I first heard about it, I want to say 2016, 2017. A friend of mine from Vancouver sent me a link, and it was based on a group of people in Sweden. So the actual, like, if you go on Wikipedia, for example, plogging goes back to Sweden in 2016. It joins the words to plocka, which is like to pick up in Swedish, and jogging. So they just combined it together to say plogging is like while you're out for a jog, you pick up litter in your neighborhood or in the parks or along the trails or whatever else, and it's kind of just spread from there. I mean, like, it's now being adopted like countries all over the place, and it's become quite the phase.
Wow, that's brilliant. I have to say, when I first moved into my neighborhood, I live in North Vancouver. I was running and I used to pick up a plastic bag with me, and I used to pick up the garbage along the way. And I only started that because I was running. I'm like, wow, there's so much garbage. Why not pick it up?
Mm-hmm.
I have stopped doing it since, and I don't know why, but I've done it for a little while, and I didn't know it was a thing. I didn't know it was plugging. I didn't know that other people was doing it. And I'm like, maybe that's something I should start doing again. But the only thing that I didn't like about it is that I was picking up garbage in a single-use plastic bag. I would have to figure out a way to pick up my garbage, but not in a plastic bag, maybe in something different so I don't add to the garbage. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. I definitely recommend, you can get the mesh laundry bags in various sizes, like really big ones or smaller ones. And they're great. Number one, they're mesh. You can reuse them, you can wash them, but also because they do have the holes in them. Like if you pick up a can or two and it's wet or has a little bit of liquids left in it, then it won't kind of gather up in your bag. So that's what I use now on my longer road trips.
Nice. I like the trick.
So how did you get the vision of doing this? How did you come about figuring this out in 2013? What motivated you?
Well, it started just as a single run across Canada, but I wanted to do it like a minimal carbon footprint, and I wanted to promote reduce, reuse, recycle. So I didn't have a support vehicle. I didn't have I didn't go into any hotels or anything. I had a solar panels to charge my phone and whatnot. And then a friend, as a joke, when I was talking about the trip, said, "Well, what about the return flight from Newfoundland back to Vancouver? That's a carbon footprint." So I thought about it, and I was like, maybe I'll run there and back. But right off the bat, like was mentioned in the bio, is the litter on the side of the road bothered me. So I decided to pick up the balls and cans to enforce the reduce, reuse, recycle. And then when I cleaned up a little over 31,000 balls and cans going from Vancouver to Newfoundland, it kind of reinforced, all from one side of the highway. So it kind of reinforced the decision to run back and clean up the other side of the highway. And then I just got hooked. I mean, I just, when I'm out there and just meeting great people and seeing beautiful parts of the country, that's a happy place for me. So if I can do it year round, I would. But right now I have that kind of work half the year and run half the year balance when possible.
So you ran from Vancouver all the way back east?
All the way to Newfoundland. The first trip took...
That's incredible, man.
The first trip took two years because I had a late start. I didn't leave Lower Mainland until like mid-July of 2013. Okay. So when I got to Ontario, I pretty much a little bit halfway point, and that was my home province. So I stayed and worked in Ontario that winter of 2013, 2014. And then spring of 2014, I continued on from Ontario and reached Newfoundland, late October of 2015 or 2014, sorry.
Wow.
So if you say that you're working half the year, then you must have a job or a business that allows you the flexibility where you can work from home and be mobile.
I did prior to the industry being kind of shut down this year. So I worked for a big catering company in Vancouver. And when most people think catering, they think weddings and whatnot. But a lot of our business, majority of our business, was from corporate events. So say a big company downtown wanted to have an event for 500, 1,000, 2,000 people. They would typically have them in the fall because a lot of their employees might be on holidays over the summer. So the catering business really ramps up, or it did anyway, in September, October, November, previous years. But now I'm gonna have to find out something different for this winter because as you can imagine, there won't be any events of 500, 1,000, or 2,000 people
no.
anytime soon.
You're gonna get 50 people at max. That's it.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's like in a best case scenario if things don't get cut back like they have been in parts of Ontario. I think they're back down to 10 people now.
Wow.
So I'm pretty sure Chef Fred can relate because he's a chef as well.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He understands the catering world very well.
Yeah. I understand that it collapsed completely.
Exactly.
Completely.
Yeah.
Oh wow. So you just came back from Whistler?
Yes, that's right. I did. Once I realized I couldn't go across Canada this year, because in April the plan was to fly to Newfoundland, where I have my camping gear and a buggy and everything there, and then I was going to run back to Vancouver, and that would have been cross Canada trip number 4. Wow. But in April, I mean, travel between provinces was definitely frowned upon, and I think even Newfoundland shut down the ferry back to the mainland unless it was like essential travel. So I could have been stuck in Newfoundland, or I could have been stuck in another province, or I would have had to maybe isolate every province I crossed into. So I decided instead of going across Canada, I would just do several trips throughout BC. So I began with a 2-week trip up to Lillooet and back, actually, in late April, early May. And then I did a tour of the Okanagan in June. Late July, I did Sunshine Coast. And then I had such a good time and connected with great people up in Whistler, Pepperton area. So I told them in the spring that I would come back for a fall cleanup. So I just finished that last week.
Wow.
Excellent. That's pretty cool.
And you were biking or you were running?
Running. I run everything, and I push along a little baby jogger.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So that has my tent and sleeping bag and food and water and everything. And then I have hockey sticks extending off the baby jogger, and that's what I hang the mesh bags over, and that's where I can load up on all the litter that I'm cleaning up as I go.
Nice.
So go ahead.
What would be your message to us who lives in BC, who travels to Whistler quite often, you know? Because you must have seen a lot of, I don't know, if maybe there's a lot of garbage along the way, maybe not, I'm not too sure. But what would be your message to us who drives there quite often?
Just very simply, just keep it in your car. Keep a little plastic bag, or not plastic bag, sorry. Keep some sort of a reusable bag to put your food waste, put your single-use cup waste, coffee, cans, whatever else. Keep it in your car until you get home or until you get your destination, and then dispose of it properly there. I think too many people, it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. They want to keep the inside of their car clean. So if they have a little bit of trash and they figure there's lots of space out there, and if nobody's watching, they'll just roll down the window and toss it out. And yes, unfortunately, from what I've seen, the road up to Whistler is one of the dirtier parts of Canada for sure.
And that's a hard thing because most of us is going so fast along that that highway that I don't see any garbage. It's when you slow down, like what you're doing.
When you slow down,
wrong,
exactly, yeah.
Everything in the ditches and so forth. But my question was, when you're gathering all this stuff, it seems like you're gathering a lot of stuff, right? So what happens when you fill up before you get to the place where you need to unload? Like, what do you do when you get so much? Do you just kind of like you stop and then you just get to the next town or whatnot and throw it into the recycling bin, or how do you kind of change up your supply?
Well, I do have, I always try and unload wherever I can, whenever there's a roadside turnout or a scenic lookout with garbage bins and recycling bins. Even if my bag's only half full, if I pass one of those, I'll definitely unload because you never know how much litter you see around the corner. But there have been times where I've had to, tie everything up in a recycling bag or in a compostable bag and leave it at in maybe an intersection or like a little area where cars can pull over. And then I'll often post it on social media or even contact a few people I know in the area and just say like, hey, I had to leave a bag here. Like, can you grab it next time you're driving by? And that usually helps as well.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool.
Good idea.
And do you ever pick up like big items like tires or
TVs,
shopping
Mattresses,
Sofas, beds.
Yeah, unfortunately there's lots of that out there as well, and brings up an interesting point about the difference between plogging and the term picking. For example, there are a lot of people locally that will do a weekly cleanup of their neighborhood, but they'll be very thorough. They'll call it picking, and they go in and they get everything, from deep out of the kind of off the highway and maybe hidden behind some trees, and that's where you would find bigger items like that. And they'll work together as a group, and they'll often have the cooperation with the municipalities, where if they bring everything out or come by in a pickup truck and bring it to a certain spot, then the city will take it from there and pick it up with their trucks and dispose of it properly.
Right.
Whereas plogging, you're kind of limited. Obviously, if you're just running by yourself and you have a small bag, you'd only carry so much. I can carry a little bit more, like maybe up to 400 or 500, bottles, cans, and various other items as I'm pushing on the baby jogger before I have to unload somewhere.
So I guess you could actually tell somebody that, look, there's a mattress or a sofa or
exactly, yes.
shopping trolley somewhere and it needs to be picked up.
Yeah. Sometimes even it's just a point of if it's kind of hidden down in the ditch and you can't see it as you're driving by. Sometimes even if I can just pull it up and bring it up to the next sign or a highway sign or whatever else, then I, fingers crossed, hope that somebody who works for the municipalities or works for the highways
Yeah.
will see it and pull over and grab it throughout the day.
Yeah.
How about along your journeys? I mean, like, where are you staying? Like, are you camping on the side of the road? Are people hosting you? And like, because you're gaining a loyal following as well, right, Andy? So,
Mhm.
kind of, how does that kind of work out? People reaching out to you and kind of helping you along the way?
Very good point, because I always prefer to, not always prefer, I always started with a tent and a sleeping bag idea. And I would just find a spot, like hidden behind some trees somewhere, not too far from the highway, where I can like pitch a tent and not be bothered for the night. But now that I had cross Canada 3 times, I know people in every province. So it's usually not more than a week to 10 days before somebody's like contacting me and saying, hey, we have dinner ready for you and a warm place to sleep. So that's kind of nice too.
That's cool.
Awesome.
What has been your favorite run or journey that you've gone on?
Oh, yikes. I would say last year's cross Canada trip was probably my favorite, because I started in April in Vancouver Island. And last year was the first time I made it coast to coast before winter hit. So it was the first time I made it across in one go, which was a bit of a challenge for me. But also because, like I said, having made new friends along the way. Last year, I did have a lot of support and a lot of people driving out to bring me meals or snacks or stuff, or just to even join me for 30, 40 kilometers of running. People would come out and run with me as I approached their city and town. So last year was pretty special for me, and my favorite cross Canada trip so far.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully next year will be an even better one.
Have you had any memorable opportunities or interviews that you've come across?
Yeah, my very first trip, I kept I was running under the radar, so to speak. I didn't really contact press or anything else. But on my second trip coming back, a friend in St. John's, Newfoundland, contacted CBC on my behalf, and they started following me. So I had a few great radio and television interviews along the way. But I think more so than that, I really liked the fact that I know quite a few teachers coast to coast, and they've invited me to come and speak to their schools as I'm running by. And that's where I really get a good kick out of sharing my story with the younger generation. So that was always special.
Yeah.
That would be very empowering and inspiring. That's for sure, Andy, because I don't think that a lot of people get it,
Mm-hmm.
or recycling or picking up garbage.
Yeah. The younger generation, they know about it. They're growing with it.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about it, because it's normal for them to recycle. It's normal for not littering. It's normal to accept everybody the way they are. It's normal to, which is a great way to look at where the world is going.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But we still have a long way to go, because you're still out there picking up stuff. So that means there's still people out there who are not, taking that action to be more aware of what they're doing and how impactful they are, to whether either positive or negative. But we all run. I mean, we all walk or we run, and I see stuff on the side of the road. Like we're seeing, unfortunately, like now with what's going on, I see masks, I see gloves, I see things on the ground. But it's like, again, like what Fred is saying, do I go out there and just run for the sake of doing that stuff? Because it is like I need to wear gloves to pick up that stuff as well. And it becomes almost like it's more than just a single person. It's more like it's got to be like a community thing where you got to go out there and kind of watch after your own block. So, but it's good that you mentioned to me before that you do these kind of when you do reach certain destinations, you have like people that come out, whether they're, I think you said the mayor or something, or somebody that comes out to kind of do kind of like a awareness day or something like that, or a cleanup day.
Well, moving forward, I would like to do that more and more, especially on my next cross Canada trip. I would like to contact the communities, a couple of days before I'm going to get there, and just say, hey, as I'm passing through your town on whatever, say it's like July 3rd, come on out and join me, or just even clean up other parts of the area, even if it's not coming close to the highway. Just get more people involved. But I think more and more each year, you do see community cleanups. You see people out there volunteering out in bottle drives and cleaning up the local roads and parks and whatnot. And I think that'll eventually turn the tide. Like even if there's only 2% of people who drive do litter out their window, there's 16 million, people with their driver's license in Canada. So that's 2% of that is still quite a lot. But I think even those people that are kind of set in their ways and you think they may not change, if they see their community, if they see their maybe even family, maybe even like nieces or nephews out there cleaning up, then they might stop and think like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't do that anymore. So hopefully we're heading in the right direction.
So now since you've been across Canada, what province or city has been the cleanest and the dirtiest?
Oh, now that's tough.
You lose some fans and gain some fans.
Yeah, I can't say there's any one city that's dirty. Obviously, the more populated the area is, the more litter it'll be. The more traffic there is on a road, the more likely there's going to be litter. But I hate to say it, being like Ontario, born and raised, some parts of Northern Ontario are probably some of the worst areas because of it's like the Trans-Canada Highway, very busy, a lot of people on road trips, and there's a lot of places where there's like no towns around or anything else, and people aren't likely to go out and do community cleanup. And another thing, I hate to say it, in Ontario, still to this date, there's no deposit on pop cans or water bottles or anything like that. Whereas in BC, there's a deposit on everything. Ontario, there's only deposit on beer and liquor and whatnot. But any other beverage containers, there's no incentive for people to really take them back. So unfortunately, I think that means more people just throw them out.
Wow.
And,
It's actually interesting that you say that, because so we have our compost program here in Vancouver, and in Toronto it's not so restricted, I guess, or regulated. And I've got aunts who are out in Toronto, and we were all sitting together at our house, and so all of us, we know food go into one, the napkins go into one, and then everything else goes into the garbage. And so my aunt was just like throwing everything into, I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, it's fine. And then she started mixing in the plastic into the food. I'm like, no, you can't do that. You're going to get fined. She's like, nah, nobody's going to actually, I'm like, no, trust me, here, we're going to get fined. So it's quite interesting that you say that, they don't have that. And it's kind of interesting to me because, Toronto being so populated, you would think that they would have all of these regulatory bodies in place.
Well, when I used to live in Toronto and I lived in a building, it's totally different than somebody who lives at a house, right? You're more regulated in a building, and we did have our compost, we did have our plastics. So it depends on your environment, right? Mm-hmm. You can't just say Toronto is like that, because it's not.
Well, right? You know what? When you're talking about people checking, like the garbage companies that come by, they do check. Because you get those stickers on your bins that says, please do not throw gyprock in here, because I think they have cameras. Like when the bin gets tossed into the truck, I think there might be some kind of sensor or something, like a camera, where the driver takes a look and see if people's throwing out like gyprock or asbestos or styrofoam, and put a sticker on your thing saying, next time you're gonna get fined or you're gonna get charged for that. So they're pretty good. Like I'm actually happy that they do that, because then you don't get people throwing out nuclear waste in their garbage can, or something that you shouldn't be. Like you should be sorting and making your weekly or monthly trips to the compost place. If you can't throw it in your garbage, like I collect my stuff and then I make my trip to for electronics or like gyprock or like mattresses. Like I got a mattress I got to throw out now, so I got to make a trip to the depot to do that, and it's all free. Most of it is free. It's just take your time to just kind of
take the time to do that.
Take your time to do it. And I think that has, some people just don't have the time, or they just don't feel like they can do it. But hopefully that's changing. Like what Andy's saying is the shift is coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or it already is coming.
Yeah. And I think as well that every community, every city or town, if you go on their municipal website, for example, I live in Coquitlam, and if I just want to know what the garbage pickup is, or whatever else, I go like Coquitlam garbage, search on the internet, and they do have usually breakdown of where everything goes. But the challenging part is, of course, different parts of Canada, even within a province, different cities or towns may have different policies for what goes where. So it's a lot of information out there, but like you said, if everybody just kind of just takes a minute to find out what the rules and regulations are in their community, then the information is usually there online.
Yeah, we're pretty like in Vancouver. We get messages. Like I don't know if you guys subscribe, but garbage pickup. If you subscribe to the municipal garbage day, they'll text you the night before and saying tomorrow is going to be the blue bin, the green bin, and the black bin, or it's going to be just the green bin or the blue bin. So at least you know, and it's pretty cool because it keeps people like you get the message because everyone's on their phone, right? They might forget to look at their garbage schedule, but they're not going to forget a message on their phone. So that's something good as well that people again is adopting and just getting this habit in here.
Yeah, and a reminder too. It's there was a holiday on Monday, so it's going to be a day late this week.
Yeah.
I need that. That's for sure.
Yeah. So actually, one of the cities in so Ladner, Tawasin, they actually what they do is they have a pickup. So every like springtime they do Ladner pickup. And what it is basically people will, do spring clean out and they'll take out the things that they don't need from their house. It could be furniture, it could be whatever. And everyone puts it on the side and everyone literally goes to different neighborhoods to see what they can use. So then they're reusing and then of course reducing. And you can find some really nice furniture, sets like TVs, anything that people got excess of, like you'll find it out there, and then the city will basically come, whatever's left over, the city will just take it all and pick it up, like so it's free of charge.
Yeah,
it's a good
So
idea.
it's really cool how they do that, like and I that's pretty cool, like that they can actually do something like that. And I know in a lot of townhouses or even condos, they're able to do that. They do have certain days where they do have pick up, like condo cleanup, whatever. And we're actually sort of coming to an end. If you guys have any last words that you'd like to say or mention. So before we say anything else, Andy, are there 3 tips that you can share with someone that is wanting to start out?
Do you start up with plogging or?
Yeah.
This year more than ever, I mean, wear your gloves, and if you can, use one of the little claws or little garbage picker uppers to pick up the balls and cans or masks or whatever else that is out there. Do it with like a friend or a family member, and get kids involved if you can. Get them sort of in the habit of when you're out there kind of cleaning up your neighborhood. Get them excited about it as well. And just spread the word. I mean, like share if you clean up your neighborhood, if you cleaned up a little bag of garbage from a certain park, just share it on social media. Maybe people will see that and they'll do the same in their neighborhood, or maybe those people that actually littered in that park will see that and be like, oh my God, I got busted. I better not do that anymore. And I think, like the plogging is like I said, it works for me, and it's my kind of happy place, and I want to keep doing it. But the overall message, which a lot of people are sharing around the world now, is cleaning up is one thing, but reducing the amount of single-use plastic and everything else is definitely the key moving forward. So that's a whole other topic.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Any of you, do you guys have anything that you would like to say or add before we?
Anya, I just have a quick question. With your mission, you said you wanted to go to schools and share your vision. Yeah. But is there anyone you want to partner up with? Who do you want to reach out and say, hey, let's work together in a big way? Is it a recycling depot, or is it like trucks? Like who would you love to partner up with?
You know, that's a good question. I've never really given that thought as far as like one big partner like that. I've always found that what works best for me is sharing the word, like one person, one family at a time. I mean, like one of my favorite stories is on my first Canada trip. A couple of weeks after I stayed with somebody in Calgary who I just met early that year. They sent me a message on Facebook. You know, I was a couple 100 miles down the road, and they're like, "Hey, like since you pass through town, now every time we go and walk the dog, we bring a bag and we clean up our neighborhood. So thanks for doing that." So I think that is huge for me. It's just I think just the people, the little people, collectively can make the big difference for sure.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Andy, for coming on. It's very inspirational as to see what you are doing and to see how you're actually making a difference in our world and for our future generations. It's not just for us, but it's more so for our future generations. So thank you for doing what you do and keeping our planet, or our country, I should say, beautiful.
Thank you for having me. It's been
Excellent.
fun.
So now, first of all, congratulations to Karan Virani. He did win the book, The Healthy Home. So Karan, please give us a call and let us know, and we will make arrangements for you to get your book. Next Tuesday, the 20th, October 20th, we are going to be talking about decluttering. So you'll get the full version of decluttering. So again, if you have any questions regarding decluttering, or if you have any questions for Andy, you can put them in the comments below. And for Andy, you will be able to see, if you want to get in touch with Andy, we will have all of his links and his connections posted. So you will be able to contact Andy if you want to connect with him and, you know, do some blogging with him. And then on October 22nd, we have another special guest. She is an OT. Her name is Rishma Dalla, and she's going to be talking about what is the face of stress. So it's pretty exciting. We've got a few more exciting speakers coming up in October. If you would like to be a speaker, a guest speaker, please reach out to one of us, and we would gladly put you on. Anyways, thank you very much for joining in, and have a wonderful day. Bye for now.
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks,
Andy.
Andy. Thanks.
Great seeing you all. Take care. Have a great day.
Take care.
Bye.